Welcome back to the SSL Family Dad channel. We are here today in March. We're a little bit late, but we are going to be building an evaporator to evaporate all of our sap from our maple trees here to make maple syrup. I have done many videos over the years, probably 7. I've built like probably 6 or 7 different evaporators. I feel like I'm building one every year. I have done a similar design to this many times before, and I'm going to kind of repeat that today with a few alterations. So I want to show you today how to build a very simple, very cheap maple syrup or sap evaporator with parts you can get at Home Depot, local places, or even on Amazon for some of it. So let me show you what we've got, and then we'll get this thing put together, fired up, and evaporate some sap. So the only thing that out of this that I've actually had to, that cost any decent amount of money, I guess, is these, they're called steaming pans. So there's 2 of them here. These are a 6-inch deep pan. So this is gonna hold quite a bit of sap. I've got 2 of them in here, and so these are gonna make up the boiling pan or pans. One of them will be kind of a warming, and then the next one will be boiling, and I'll show you why once we get this put together. We've also got lots of wood to burn, so that shouldn't be an issue. And then the main component of this is cinder blocks, or cement blocks as they are more commonly called these days. So we have the 8x8x16. These are standard. They're about $1.50, $1.47, sometimes a little cheaper. They used to be under $1 actually not too long ago, but so these blocks will need quite a few of those, just depending on how this all goes together. I bought some extras. We also have these solid blocks. So these ones here, this is an 8x, what is this, 8x4x16, the flat ones here. So those are solid. That'll work for top pieces and other things like that. And then I also have these kind of half blocks here. This is basically just exactly half of one of these. So this is going to make up everything. This is going to be our firebox, our chimney, and everything that we need to run this thing. So it's going to be super simple. All of these blocks that I had here cost me under $40. All of our wood pile is here, so I figure we've got this little flat spot where looks like they dumped a bunch of driveway rubble here at some point. So I think we'll build it right here. It is on a little bit of an angle, so we'll have to try to level this off. We want our pans to be decently level. So I've got a shovel and a level. We'll get some things leveled out here, and we'll start to throw this together. It won't take long once we get to the initial spot figured out. Okay, so this is what we have. Just kind of go through some of the details. It's 2 cinder blocks or 2 concrete blocks long and 2 tall, and then I added the flat blocks around the top. That just helps to smooth things off, kind of cap everything off. There's lots of different ways to do the back here, but what I did was this is the block that I cut out on the other side. I had a fail trying to knock out the back side of it, so I used a saw. If you're careful, you can knock out the back side of the block without having the saw. You don't have to have that. But I have a half block here, a full block here, and then on the other side, this is the one that has the hole knocked out of the back of it, and then a half block here. So there is these little gaps right here. So you can see the pan, a 6-inch pan, actually goes down and it covers this much, because this is only 4 inches right here, and then the pan is 6 inches. So it almost covers that gap, but there's just a little hole around the edges there. So I could find something to stick in there. Right now I just have a piece of block. That doesn't seal it up, but it helps to block a little bit of it, and I'll kind of explain that in a minute. And then I just have the cinder blocks just stacked up to the top, and then this is the chimney here. So you can kind of see this is where we're getting our draft, and there's quite a bit of heat coming out of there. So it's working rather well. So this is basically what we'll have. We've got the 2 pans on top. We'll fill those up with our sap. This will boil away. I'm gonna grab a piece of cement board. I think I've got one up in the garage, and cover off the front of this. And then you've got this little gap here at the top. And this is actually, once this fire gets going better, it'll start to draft. It's gonna start to pull air down here, and then it'll suck the air under, obviously burning, and then the exhaust will get sucked out. Right underneath this pan is that hole, and it gets sucked up the chimney. So the taller you have this chimney, the better the draft is going to be, and the less smoke you're going to have around the evaporator. So these little, mock-up, these little tossed together kind of disposable concrete block evaporators, yes, the blocks are going to crack. Yes, if I can use this for 2 years, that's great. But generally, this is a kind of a one-time use, maybe 2-time use thing. I mean, as far as seasons go, it'll handle this season for sure. And then if it's here next season and I don't have something better, I'll use it again, or maybe fix some of the concrete blocks or whatever. Packing all that dirt in there actually helps hold tons of heat. This thing will heat up, and those concrete blocks and the dirt holds a ton of heat in there, and it'll actually help to keep the evaporation going, the boiling going. So this works really well. It's not perfect. You're gonna get some smoke around your sap. Sometimes if you get a lot of smoke around it, your maple syrup can actually have a little bit of a smoky flavor to it. Most people prefer that. It actually tastes really good. It's just different flavors you get depending on how you evaporate. If you evaporate with gas evaporators, propane or natural gas, you have different flavors than if you heat or evaporate with wood. So that's just part of the whole thing. And these things work really well. And again, for under 40 bucks, you can't beat it. This thing is going to work perfectly for the season. So the fire will kind of get sucked out the back there. I don't know if you can even see it well with all the smoke, but it's going to kind of get sucked towards the back of the evaporator, towards the burn box, which means that this one here is kind of become the warming tray. You can already see this one's boiling first. I just threw water in here. I'm going to let these boil for a little while, kind of sterilize them, clean them out, and I'll dump that out really fast, put these back in here, and then start with sap. But this back one here is going to boil the hardest. This one here is going to kind of warm, and so you can just add to this one. It's going to boil slower. This one's going to boil faster. You can add from this one to that one and just keep your boil going. You can use a ladle, you can use a cup, you can use whatever you want to do that. Or you can just keep adding to this one. It's just going to evaporate slower, and then just drip or add to this one slowly so you don't stop your boil. The trick to keeping a good boil going with these is to not add enormous amounts of cold sap at a time. You want to keep that boil going, so you want to just add a little bit at a time, and it'll keep rolling for you. So these things can work really well. You can actually run through quite a bit of sap in a little evaporator like this. Okay, look out, Summer. boiling water coming through.
Mom, what's this? I can see you upside down.
So once it gets going, you can hear it. It's really keeping the smoke away from the pans. It's sucking the air in here, kind of like how a wood stove works. It takes the air in at the top, and then it's burning in there, and you can hear it just sucking out the back. You really can't see any smoke coming out of the sides or the cracks much anymore, and you can see how clean it's burning. It's really coming out there, and this is just super hot. I mean, it'll burn your hand at the top of this. So if it was dark out, I bet you there'd be flames shooting out of this thing. So it's going really well, and it's been about 25 minutes since I filled these up, and once this gets boiling, it's gonna run through this stuff pretty quick, I have a feeling.